Hey guys, I'm just leaving a training session over at American Combat Club with Mitch McElroy, a former professional MMA fighter, and now has a gym that he coaches people in mixed martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and all that. But the cool thing with this is I just wanted to take a minute to talk to you guys about, coaches and students, and looking for the right coaches, things as coaches we can do to improve our relationship with our clients. And as far as the clients are concerned, what to look for in coaches. This is just my opinion. Obviously, I don't have everything figured out, and I'm not a final product by any means. But there's certain things that I've picked up over the years that I think are pretty critical in this whole development as you pursue your expertise. As a student working up, the skill sets and whatever it is that you're training in, and as far as a coach of not hitting plateaus and not becoming complacent in your natural progression as a coach as well. So, today was a great training session. Mitch and I got together, and just two humble dudes coming together to do some joint training. Today we focused more on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which, if you know me, my background's Thai boxing, and I do combatives and firearms and all that stuff. But my martial arts background, my foundation is Muay Thai. So for me to go and enroll with a professional Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner is obviously always a humbling experience. So today's session was more of me just floundering a little bit and figuring things out. But why I bring this up and why this is important is, as a coach myself, I have to continue to do things that get me out of my comfort zone and challenge me to continue to build my own personal skill set. There's many coaches out there, and this is, if you're a student, something that would advise you to be hesitant about or take note of. And if you're a coach, take note of this also. If you're doing this, you got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to continue to push your limits and continue to learn yourself, whether it's in the field that you're working in or a field that you're not working in. Sometimes I find it's easier to go learn something new, that you have that you've never done before, you have no background in. And why I love doing this so much is because it allows me to go back into the role of a student, and for me to put my ego aside, come in with a clear a clear attitude, a clear mindset, and just say, hey man, I'm here to learn today. What can you teach me, and how are you going to teach it to me? Because what this allows me to do then is to go back into that role of a student, and it allows me to relate to my clients, to my students, because now I can go back and be in their shoes again, in something that, if it's my specialty, let's say we're doing firearms training, I do it all the time. With my background in the SEAL teams and stuff, we shot so much that it's something that's just second nature to me at this point. I don't really have to put much thought into it. I can just walk out into the shooting range, run a whole course. I don't need to take a bunch of time to really prep for the course and all this kind of stuff. And when I'm explaining something to somebody, and what happens with a lot of the coaches is, we go to explain something and it seems like, well, how don't you understand that? Why doesn't that make sense? Why can't you do that? It's really simple. You do this, this, and this, and this is what should happen. Do it. Well, what the hell, man? Why can't you do that? What, are you stupid? What, are you an idiot? Are you incompetent? And it's not that. If we get into that attitude, if we get into that rhythm within our coaching, within our teaching process, and this is big for the guys leaving the military, because that's kind of how they teach us in the military sometimes, because they're just pushing numbers through. So if that's how we're trying to relate with our clients, then what we've lost is we've lost the connection of being the student. So, for example, my wife and I recently within the past year, we went to Agui Rock Climbing Gym, and they're one of their head coaches is this guy Dean, great guy. So my wife and I went through the lead climbers training, so for rock climbing. So if you know what lead climbing is, you can look into it. But anyway, it's a different skill set of rock climbing. It's a little more advanced. It takes a lot more responsibility. Your climbing techniques need to be better, because if you don't, you're going to fall and stuff like that. So now, here we are, we're learning this stuff, and some of the things that also this allows me to do is this allows me to pick up on other coaches' styles and go, oh man, you know what, when I got hung up on this one thing and I just couldn't understand what he was saying, this is how he explained it to me, this is how he broke it down to me, and it just jogs like, oh man, you know, maybe if I had worded something like this or demonstrated something like that with my clients, you know, I could have easily, you know, more easily communicated that process to them. But this will never happen if I don't get out of my comfort zone. If I don't put my ego to the side and go try new things and go learn things, because there's so many coaches out there who, now this is part two of what we need to watch out for when you're looking for coaches, right? If you are a coach and you're doing this, you probably won't admit it. So if you can admit it, then that's awesome. But for the students, for the clients, if you're going to a coach, or if I'm the coach, and I come in, and my clients show up, and my goal is to show these clients how freaking hardcore I am, right? Let's say it's personal training, and I'm going to put my clients through the most hardcore workout, and I'm going to show them how hardcore these workouts are, and when they leave, they're not going to be able to walk for the next 4 days. And you know what? They're going to be talking to their friends, and everyone's going to be saying, dude, Rich Graham's so fucking hardcore. Like, I had him go, you know, I couldn't walk for 4 days after training with him. And all they're talking about is Rich Graham, Rich Graham, Rich Graham coming out of that session. I have to ask myself, is my training there focused on the client, or is it focused on making me feel good about myself? Right? Who's supposed to be walking away with the value? When my client shows up, they need to walk away with more value with themselves, with the skill sets, with, you know, in multiple aspects, but they need to leave built up and better than when they showed up. Now, if you're not doing that, you're sabotaging your clients, because it's all about you. You're the show. Your client should be the show, not you. Now, with the same thing, what this leads into is if you have a coach that's their mentality, what their natural thing to do is they're going to cap your ability to succeed, learn, and perform the skills, right? Because what happens is as soon as you start getting to a point where you're better than them and you're progressing faster than they were and you're going to supersede their capability, then they're going to sabotage it and not give you everything, because they're going to feel insecure, insignificant, inferior, whatever it is, to now what you've done, right? When in reality, as a coach, my goal, right, should be to make you, if it took me something 10 years to learn, and 8 years of that was figuring it out, and 2 years was perfecting it, and I can walk you through and start you at that 2-year perfection stage, well, by default, by year 4 or 5, halfway through my timeline that it took me, you should be where I'm at and passing me. And now my role as a coach goes from a perspective standpoint, and my role as a coach changes. If you look at the X Games, dude, when I was in high school and grade school, like, we were trying to go off ramps and jump over our friends, and you'd line up like 6 friends and launch off a ramp and stuff like that. And that was a big deal. Now these dudes are freaking doing, you know, like triple backflips and all sorts of crazy stuff that was never even heard of when we were kids. And the thing is, once that one kid did a backflip, which might have taken, you know, 20 years of progression through BMX biking to get someone, I'm making that number up, but just bear with me. But, you know, if it took them 20 years to get to the point where someone could do a backflip, all of a sudden, as soon as one kid did a backflip, now everyone within a year, there was 50 or 100 people who could do backflips. Now, backflip is kind of a baseline trick in freestyle BMX. If you can't do a backflip, hey man, go home. Dudes are doing double and triple backflips, you know. So the dudes who pioneered it reduced that learning curve for the guys who are there now. So if you have those coaches who are always like, yeah man, I've given you this, but there's more, and you're not ready, or I won't teach it to you, or I'm going to hold on to this. The reason they're holding on to that information, whether it's martial arts or tactical training or fucking, I don't know, dog training or personal fitness, whatever it is, if they're holding on to those goodies, these are the secrets that will really make you great. But I'm not going to give it to you because you're not ready, or you know, this is, I don't want to share it. What they're doing is basically they're capping your progress because they want to continue to hold the upper hand over top of you because they're insecure trainers. If they were secure and confident trainers and their focus wasn't internal, it was external toward you, toward the client who they're supposed to be building, then what happens is they want to share that with you because they want to take those golden nuggets that they have and dump them into you so that you can then take what they've done and move that whatever it is that the field is. Let's say it's back to the BMX things. They want to show you the secret to do the backflip so that they can coach you and teach you how to do a double and triple backflip. And they're going to come in from a perspective standpoint on the bigger picture of BMX. And here's this and this and this. And now they're watching you do the stuff. So their perspective is different because they've been there, because they went through all the trials and tribulations to get to that point. So there's tons of lessons learned that you never really had to go through that now you're going to have to go through as you start to pave the way through the progression of pushing the sport or pushing the limits and capabilities of whatever this is that you're working in. But that's where you now go through your trials and tribulations of you know, superseding that where they got to and expanding the capability of whatever it is that the avenue that we're training in, you know. So you get what I'm saying? So as we look for coaches, again, I'm looking for coaches that are humble and willing to learn, and they're not afraid to share their secrets. They're not intimidated by teaching me, you know, because their goal is to actually make me better. And if I can catch up to them and supersede to them, then they're going to be happy that they succeeded as a coach, because their goal as a coach is to make me more capable and more competent than they were in the amount of time that it took them to do it. I should be able to do it in a shorter amount of time because they are such a good coach. And for me as a coach, if I can't stay in tune by continuing to learn myself and getting myself out of my comfort zone and continuing to learn new skills so that it keeps me in the role of being a student, then I'm going to plateau. I'm going to lose I'm going to lose that intimacy with my clients. I'm going to lose that what's the word that I'm looking for? You know, a child is I don't know if the word's innocence, but I'm going to lose that that connection of being in the position that the client's in as they're trying to learn something new, and having the patience and having the understanding and the perspective to meet them at where they're at the level they're at, so that I can help them build and progress to a higher level, which I already have the information and the path for them to do so. But I need to keep the focus on them and not on myself, and keep my perspective correct, keep my ego in check. I can't feed my family and my ego at the same time. You know what I mean? You got to pick and choose. It can be all about you, or it can be you know, about building your business and building your clients and building the people around you, right? But they're going to conflict each other. If you try to do both at the same time, you're going to run into challenges because you're going to sabotage yourself. So anyway, I hope that helps. You know, it's just something I've been thinking about recently,